as Farid was trying to set up the slides, lemons are not very useful when it comes to losing weight, as my colleague was saying, so I hope I'm fine without the lemons. Good evening. So I've been instructed by the convener of the conference to limit my talk to future directions, and I'll abide by that. At the outset, I'd like to share how I kind of prepared my talk. I posed a few questions regarding the role of literature in English language teaching, and I tried to find answers to the questions. Our first speaker this evening, Obaisler, was talking about problem posing, asking questions, so I did that. So what happens is when you ask questions, and try to find answers to the questions, we gain some insights, and the insights inform our decision making. So if we have to find future directions for the role of literature in language teaching, we have to ask questions, not necessarily individually, as a community. So ELT community, consisting of policymakers, teacher trainers, textbook writers, classroom teachers, students, all of us have to ask questions. So when I was asking my questions, I researcher who has experience of doing field work in rural, urban, semi-urban contexts, and also as a curriculum developer, as a textbook writer, because I was part of the team of textbook writers for the 2022 curriculum, which has been postponed. Something we have to do at the outset, one more thing we have to do is, when you talk about the role of curriculum in English language teaching, we have to break down this phrase, English in the curriculum. So what does this mean, English in the curriculum? Literature in the curriculum rather. So literature in policy text, the articulation in the policy text, then literature in the textbooks, then literature in the classroom, then literature in assessment. So we have to look at all these aspects, and not only literature in the textbook only. So often we talk about the literary texts, whether we have too many literary texts or too few in the textbooks, but we also have to ask, how do the policy texts frame the role of literature in the curriculum, or in the role of literature in language teaching? What are the purposes for which literature should be used? So what function does literature play in the curriculum? So there are debates on the role of literature and the uses of literature in English language teaching. There are colleagues who point out that it's too difficult for students, and that everyday texts and literary texts are different. So our students may not understand literary texts, and people who take an ESP approach or perspective, they often point out that students need English for life, the English need for survival. Do they really need literature? Do they really need literature in the textbooks or in the curriculum? And many of my colleagues in talks, in chats, pointed out that we probably do not need as much literature in our curriculum. And they have their reasons why they oppose the excess of literature in text. Some of them do not want to see literature in the curriculum. Now, I would like to say that there are many benefits of using literature, so I think we shouldn't exclude literature from the curriculum. In Bangladesh, we have gone through stages when there was very little literature in the curriculum, and then recently, the textbook, if anyone has taken a look at the textbooks, probably there was too much of literature. Many of my colleagues pointed out, teachers as well, that we have too much literature in the textbooks now. So I believe that we should have a combination of literary and non-literary texts. If we do that, then I think we'll be fine. So one direction is to avoid overdose and to avoid exclusion. We should find a balance between literary and non-literary texts, and it's because students learn English not only for language, for the language, but they also need to develop their imagination, critical thinking, and they need to imbibe values, empathy, they need to learn about cultures. So for many reasons, students need literature. So my own position is that there should be a balance between literary and non-literary texts. And when we select literary texts, one question we often ask, do we need to use British American literary texts, or should we select texts from local contexts, written by local poets and essayists? And my answer to that question is we can borrow texts from the West as well as from the local context. So that way our students will learn about cultural diversity. They'll be preparing themselves for becoming global citizens, and they also need a reaffirmation of their culture. So local and global, we can combine the two. And one of my colleagues pointed out that there is a lack of coordination between different groups of people. So we often notice that the literary texts have been included in the textbook, but there is no assessment of the text. I mean, tests are very important in Bangladesh. Students prepare themselves for the exams, and when there is no assessment of the literary text, teachers often skip those tests. And I found in my fieldwork that many teachers skip the literary tests, and they often point out that students are not motivated to study literature because they don't see any value. And when they mention value, they refer to exams. So in the exams, literary texts are not assessed, so that's why students are demotivated or not motivated enough. Now, a colleague has talked about translingual approach. So in our classrooms, we often make a separation between development of literacy in Bangla and mother tongue, and development of literacy in English. And I feel that this separation is not needed. We can go for a translingual approach where students will develop literacy and oracy in Bangla, in whatever mother tongue they have, and also in English. So that way we can move forward. And it has to be clearly articulated in the policy text and communicated to everyone, the teachers, materials developer, teacher trainers, so that everybody knows how we are moving forward together. Thank you very much.